Today we're going to talk about gear that can help you to get more money out of your client shoots just because you look more professional. I want to know in the comment section below which you think looks the coolest. Videographer number 1 showing up to a set like this. Hey, I'm ready to shoot with my camera. What was it you wanted? A video maybe? Some photos? Click, click, click. Videographer number 2 showing up to a client shoot like this. Hi there. I heard you wanted some videos to be shot. I'm your man. So when I first started shooting for clients, what I started out with was the A7 III looking like this, and I showed up to shoot with just my camera and a lens, and it doesn't look much to the world, but it can do wonders, as both you and I know, because this camera can bring you a really long way when it comes to shooting cinematic videos, client videos, product videos, you name it, but it doesn't look that professional. And I remember this one time when I showed up to a client shoot and they said, oh, is that camera gonna be enough for this? And I was like, yeah, it's what I shoot all my videos on. And they were like, oh. And what I've experienced is that the more expensive your equipment looks like, the more you can actually charge for the jobs that you're doing with your client. So if I were to show up with something like this today to the same client, they would probably be like, whoa, look at that piece of equipment. That is one expensive rig. And it's not actually that much more expensive than this one. It just looks more expensive. So I've been trying out a couple of different cages for my cameras during the years. And the first cage that I bought was an 8-in cage for my A7 III. I was really satisfied with this cage, but I didn't really feel that it was ergonomical because there was always like one annoying thing that was cutting into my hand when I had it on the camera. And when I upgraded to the A7S III, I also got a new cage for my camera, which was the small rig A7S III cage. And this is a very good cage. It is sleek, it has nice design, and like the overall feeling of it is very good. But I didn't feel that it was perfect for the different things that I wanted to mount to my camera. And that is why I ordered the Tilta A7S III Pro rig, which I think is a dope setup. And when you order the Pro rig, you do get the entire cage for your camera. You also get the top handle and the side handle. The cool thing with the side handle is that it has a rec button, so you don't have to actually like move over here with your index finger and try to press the rec button, because now you can just like, that for me is so good to have, especially when you're shooting any kind of like tech videos, when you want to shoot like this and maybe hold the camera with one hand. And then if you want to go back to the top handle, then you can just switch like that, and then you can shoot cinematic stuff on the go, maybe like fight scenes or something similar. You also get the base plate and the rods attached to it so that you can like rig up your camera with a bunch of different accessories that you can buy. And it's also very easy to remove it from the base plate with just a simple locking mechanism, so that you can take it apart and then just use this part and put the rods away if you want to do that. But I think it looks way cooler having this on. And over here on this side, I have the follow focus from Tilta as well, that I have rigged up to the zoom right now. This is something that you can change depending on what kind of lens that you use, but it's very good to hold your camera like this and being able to jump in back and forth between the different focal lengths when you're shooting video, especially if you're using the autofocus in the A7S III, because it's so good, so quick, and you don't really have to think about like doing focus pulls. Unfortunately, most of these lenses does have a digital focus, which means that you can't use the focus puller in the sense that it's supposed to be, because the focus ring is going to be a different speed and it's not going to be this constant that you'll get with a manual lens, for example. But it will of course work if you have focus peaking on in camera, because then you can just see it in there. But from my experience previously, I know that it can be kind of hard to nail the focus when you don't have an actual manual focus lens. I've also attached a matte box to the front, and this is the Tilta mini matte box that I think looks pretty cool. And this is a very simple mount because you have a like fake filter without a filter. It's just basically a ring, and then just attach the matte box to it and then tighten the screw, and boom, you're all ready to go. Start shooting. And the reason that you have a matte box is so that you can remove any sort of glare from the sun when you're shooting outside, and also insert ND filters, square ones right here, so that you can like have gradual ND filters or just a regular ND4 or ND6, depending on what kind of stuff it is that you're shooting. The display that I'm using is the Atomos Ninja 5, and the reason that I went for this is because I want to be able to record raw files with the A7 III when I have this rigged up. And the cage that I have attached to it is from Cine, which is also a really good brand when it comes to like camera cages and stuff. Same goes for the monitor mount that I got here in the front as well. That is also from Cine. So do you actually need this entire setup to be able to shoot good videos? Well, no, you can get away with just using the A7 III as is for a really long time, and this will serve you really well if you're using it, so you don't have to think about spending all the extra money on this. But if you want to look more professional to the clients that you're working with and also make things easier when you're shooting, then this is a really good way to rig up your camera. The reason that I have done this is because I want to turn my A7S III into some sort of like Cine camera, because as of right now I'm actually using the FX6 on the side to test out a little bit and see how good this camera actually is compared to the A7S III. And this has been a super fun camera to test out, and I got a couple of more weeks to play around with it, so there will be more videos on this camera. But as of right now, I'm honestly not that impressed of it when you compare it side by side with the A7S III, and that is why I want to see how much I can get out of this camera before I actually move into something like this in the future, if I even move in something like that. Because you know me, like when I was shooting the poker B-roll, I thought it was so much fun just to use my A7 III, and now I'm getting so much out of the A7S III that I want to try to see if I can like max it out and get the most out of this camera before I move on to something that is more expensive. So yeah, I'm gonna drop a link to everything down below so you can get the exact same rig and setup if you want to have that. This video is not sponsored in any way. This is something that I bought myself, every single piece. But I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well, where I post behind the scenes stuff and all those good things, va? And thanks so much for watching. Peter from Sweden saying goodbye. Hi!